Hey, sixth graders, Mrs. Zimmerman here, and we are back. We are doing inequalities again today. So we're going to keep the greater than, less than, or equal to, all of those symbols. You'll have to, my allergies are acting up, so I know I kind of sound silly. So I'll try to get through this video as fast as I can so you don't have to put up with me for too much longer. But again, we are going to be doing inequalities. So graphing them, same thing you were doing. Now we're just going to add one more thing, which would be to solve them. So I'm going to head to the front and we'll get started. Before we solve inequalities, I actually want to go back and just review how to solve an equation. So this is familiar. We did this back, right after Christmas break. Okay, we want to solve for the variable. So if we have x plus 26 equals 47, how do we solve this? Well, we just do the inverse operation, right? We minus 26 from both sides, and then these 26 cancel, and x is going to equal 47 minus 26, which is 21. Remember that? Yeah, x equals 21, and we would put that here, and then that would make that true. Okay, so we do the inverse of add and subtract, and then over here we have 4y equals 76. So two numbers next to each other mean to multiply. So the opposite would be to divide both sides by 4. 4's cancel. Y equals 19. Okay? All right, you remember how to do this. I know you do. So today we are going to be doing something very, very, very similar, just inequalities. So my first one, the directions say to solve the inequality, then graph the solution. So I have x minus 3 is greater than 1. So to get x all by itself, I'm going to do the inverse. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. These cancel. X is greater than 3 plus 1 is 4. X is greater than 4. Then they want me to graph. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw my number line. If you're working on big ideas, they will have the number line for you, obviously, but here I'm just going to show you what we would do. So we have 0 and we have 4. Now, am I going to use an open circle or a closed circle? I'm going to use an open circle because there is no line underneath. It is not equal to 4. It can only be greater than 4. So it's going to go to the right. All numbers bigger than 4 go to the right. And that's it. The two parts to your answer are the solution and the graph. That's what we're going to be doing, okay? So here's another one. I have 15 is greater than or equal to 6 plus h. Okay, so here it is. How do you get h all by itself? Well, we're going to minus 6 from both sides. The 6's are going to cancel, and h equals, sorry, I had to grab my book. H is greater than or equal to 9. Now, this here is just a little bit different than what we were doing before. And here's what I mean. If you have the H on the other side, like see how, let me go up. X is on the left, right? That's what we're familiar to. See how our variable is on the right-hand side? We can't graph that. We can't graph the variable on the right-hand side. So if the variable h is over here on the right, I actually have to flip it around, and I'm going to do h, flip the sign, is less than or equal to 9. Now that is something that I can graph. Okay, I flipped the h and the 9, and then I also flipped my inequality symbol. So drawing my number line, I would have 0 and 9 greater than, I guess now it's less than, so less than or equal to is going to be a closed circle on 9. And we want everything less than 9, so we're going to go to the left. Let's do a few more because I think hopefully I did not make that too confusing. Okay, here's another one. X minus 2 is less than 3. So add 2 to both sides. X is less than 5. You got it. So my number line 0, and 5. Just a plain less than is going to be an open circle to the left because we want everything less than 5. All right, let's do one more like this. So we have 10 is greater than or equal to z minus 1. All right, you should be getting the hang of this. We're going to add 1 to both sides, right? Cross off my 1s. I have z is greater, 10, I guess would be 11, is greater than or equal to z. Okay, we have to flip this. Our variable is over here on the right. We can't have that. So we're going to put z over here. We're going to flip the inequality and do 11. Then I can graph it. I have 0. I have 11. Less than or equal to is going to be a closed circle. Oh, I should use red. Sorry. Closed circle. And less than is going to be everything this direction. Okay, hopefully I didn't go through that too fast, but we're just combining two things you already know. You already know how to solve equations, and you already know how to graph inequalities. So this is just a pretty simple lesson where we're combining the two. Okay? Now let's see. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to multiply or divide. So we have x over 5 is less than 2. A fraction really means to divide. So the opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to times by 5 on both sides. These cancel, and x is less than 5 times 2 is 10. The directions also say to graph. So we are going to go ahead and do that. 0 and 10. Just a plain less than is an open circle, and I want everything less than that. And those two things would be the answer right there. Okay, 4n is greater than or equal to 32. 4n means to multiply, so the opposite of that would be divide by 4. My 4's cancel. N is greater than or equal to 8. And again, notice my variables are on the left side, so I do not have to be switching them like we did last time. Okay, if there is one on the right, you would want to switch it, but here it's on the left, so we know we are just ready to graph. We have a 0 and an 8. Greater than or equal to includes 8, so we fill in the circle and go to the right. Okay, all right. Last type of problem here is one that includes a fraction. So we have 3/2 times m is greater than 1. Okay, this is a little confusing because this is two numbers right next to each other, right? 3/2 right next to m means to multiply those two together. So the opposite of that would be divide. But when you divide by a fraction, dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're just going to do that right away. Don't worry about dividing. If there's a fraction here, we're just going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So if we times by 2/3 on the left, we're going to times by 2/3 on the right. My fractions are going to cancel. M is greater than, what's 1 times 2/3? 2/3. That's all. Again, we're going to graph. So we've got 0 and 2/3. Okay? All it is greater than, so I use an open circle. Everything to the right. Let's do one more like that, and then we will be done. So we have 3/5 q is less than or equal to 6. So remember, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we times by 5/3 on both sides. My fraction cancels, and I have q is less than or equal to 6 times 5/3. Okay, how do I make 6 a fraction? Put it over 1, and then I just multiply straight across. 6 times 5 is 30. 1 times 3 is 3. Can I simplify 30 over 3? Yeah, 30 divided by 3 is 10. So Q is less than or equal to 10. Draw my number line. 0, 10. And we are doing less than or equal to, so we have to have a shaded in, a closed circle, and we want everything to the left. And really, that's it. We're just solving the equations by adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, the inverse. And then the other example that I just showed you was if there's a fraction in the mix, which multiply by the reciprocal and you're good to go. So that's today's lesson. If you need to rewatch it, please do. Otherwise, good luck, and I'll see you next time.